Much. Hi, everybody. My name is Yuval. I work as a member of the technical staff at AI21 Labs. And, this is an AI conference. And I think in the 2 or 3 years that has been, since, every organization wants to implement AI. Everybody's talking about Gen AI and how you can adopt it into your product. So I thought, what would be more interesting to bring the person who leads the business department in AI21. So with me here is Asaff, our VP Business. Hi, Asaff.
Hey, Yuval. Hi, everyone. Thank you for introducing me. I am leading both the sales process and the post-sales for AI21. And I want to start with maybe a bold statement. I think Yuval and I are here not to speak only about the technology. We know that it's the AI conference. But we want to speak about more elements that we think that impact heavily on the success of adopting AI in the organizational environment. Maybe in a nutshell about AI21, because it's not a story, but AI21 was founded 8 years ago, so we are pretty much here for a while. I assume that most of you don't know that we were actually the second company in the world after OpenAI that actually built an LLM model from the ground up. And fast forward, I think we are today focusing mainly on the workplace environment and helping organizations across the globe to be super productive and adopt AI in several ways.
So I've been to, I think, endless conversations with users and clients, and you've probably been with more. I just want to share with you a little bit from the internet, right? So a lot of the articles last year said that 2023 was the year of experimentation, 2024 is the year of production. We are now in the middle of 2025. I've seen a lot of 2024 was the year of experimentation, but 2025 is the year of production. Is 2026 will say the same on 2025, or what do you have to say about that?
That is really much correlates to what we are seeing in the market. A lot of the organizations are actually stuck in an endless loop of experimentation. And I think that trying to analyze the main reason, what we are seeing out of hundreds of engagement with companies across the globe, is we call it the productivity paradox, where there is a huge gap between how much all of us are using Gen AI tools in our day-to-day outside of workplace and even within the workplace, but not within the organizational framework, right? We are planning our vacations, we are summarizing, we are doing multiple things that makes us individually far more productive. But there is a huge gap between the organization ability to do the same thing on a broader perspective and adopt Gen AI in a way that it will impact the entire business.
I would say that, as an individual, I do feel like I'm much more productive, but you're saying that the organization is not.
Exactly, and I think that if we'll try to touch the macro problem, which in my opinion is more interesting, what we're seeing is still a lot of hype and even FOMO coming from boards and investors pushing CEOs to adopt Gen AI. But what does it even mean, adopt Gen AI? A lot of the CEOs, a lot of the companies don't know how to answer it. And they are very early in the maturity of the understanding what use cases will lead into an actual value. And I think that FOMO is not a strategy. And I think that this is the first thing that we need to acknowledge. Like every major project a company wants to go through that includes change management, severe change management process, a company needs a real strategy in place to undergo something that will end up with a real business value.
I would say that FOMO is a strategy. It's just a really shitty one.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who work as software developers, and I get a lot of messages of, oh, AI. I just got a message that assignment, I have to implement RAG. What is it? How do I do that? So that is a problem. Like the FOMO as a strategy is not good. But also, I think it's the expectations that are a problem.
Exactly, and I think that the second problem that I'm seeing is sort of a disconnection that is being triggered by the lack of strategy to the employees. Hey, first thing first, a lot of the companies miss the fact that the ones that are supposed to use the technology are us. We are the power, like the employees are the ones that's supposed to utilize it. And the fact that today there is a lack of strategy caused a situation where a lot of the employees are not involved in the change management process. And it causes mainly misunderstanding about what the company wants to do, maybe unlocking some fears about why we want to adopt Gen AI and what's the purpose of Gen AI. And I think that this is something that has to be included in any strategy, involving the employees into this loop and do the change management in a way that will enable us to map and understand the processes, the workflows, the pain points, and prioritizing them and so on and so forth. I think that, in one more sentence, Yuval, I think that one of the most interesting phenomena, we call it the underground movement of employees. It's not a scary movement. It's actually a nerdy one. Probably most of us are part of this movement. And the movement is people that are actually early adopter and using Gen AI tools, but they are using it outside of the framework of their workplace environment. But because there is a lack of guidelines and lack of policy and lack of framework, the problem is that they are afraid to share how they are using it and what they are doing it. And even if it's beneficial and productive, the organizations are losing the collective wisdom that is being accumulated in these early adopters. So we are all part of a movement. We need to see how to transition from an underground one to utilize the potential in a more methodological level.
I don't know. I kind of feel cool to be part of an underground movement. I think that's the first time that I've ever been included in one. So thank you for that. I think that it's a really good point. I don't think a lot of people really talk about to like involve the employees, but also something that I personally noticed about that was really surprising to me during a lot of interactions with customers, that there's like maybe not a good understanding of what those models can do. Right? I got a lot of sentences like, I will just take all the data and the AI will take those things and the AI will output that. And then I ask them, okay, in which database? No, the AI will take care of that. Like, what does it mean, the AI will take care of things?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it goes back again to the lack of strategy and the lack of real understanding of what is a Gen AI. If we're taking LLM as an example, LLM is a probabilistic beast by nature. It means that it requires iterative work and it requires a lot of expertise and some time to get to where we want to be. I think that it's actually one of the reasons that we are heavily adopting AI in our day-to-day versus why we are not adopting it in the workplace more broadly. Because in our day-to-day, when I'm planning my next family vacation, I don't mind that ChatGPT will hallucinate. Fine. It will make mistake and will send me to a bad restaurant. But it will still save me tremendous amount of time. In workplace environment, we have almost zero tolerance for hallucination and mistake. Why? Because the data is sensitive. It revolves around external users and actual value. And every damage and mistake can lead up to a real business damage. So I think that first and foremost is the understanding that we call it ChatGPT syndrome. You can't just take an LLM and throw it into your workplace environment and expect that it will do the same magic. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and I do want to read a quote that you told me before about a CEO that you've talked with that said to you, it's not only important to understand what I can do with Gen AI, it's more important to understand what I cannot do with Gen AI, which I think is a bit of like a sign of maturity of the market.
It is a sign of maturity and also maybe a gradual understanding of CEOs that if you are not a hyperscaler and you don't have an army of AI and ML engineers in your companies, it's reasonable for you to understand that before going and deciding to run after the FOMO and hype, you need to sit down and think about what is actually that you want to solve within your workplace environment how to prioritize it, and what Gen AI will not solve in your environment. It's important because otherwise you can't really prioritize and focus, and then also make sure that everyone, all the stakeholders in your organization are aligned around that.
Yeah, and I do want to kind of connect to what we talked about a few minutes ago with an article from VentureBeat. I'm going to read you a quote now, which is kind of like all the things that you said. Despite substantial investment, AI in the enterprise often stalls at the proof of concept stage, trapped in silos and limited in scale. Without a cohesive strategy, successful pilots in customer service automation or predictive analytics may not translate into organization-wide value if AI system operations in isolation. And think up until now we've been like a bit of a downers, or like, these are the problems, these are the bad trends. Now let's maybe be more positive. What companies can do to get out of this experimentation loop?
So let's be positive, but still divert a little bit from the enormous focus that we are putting on technology. It's fine, we are in an AI conference, but the story of successful AI adoption lies within the employees and not within the technology. And I think that first and foremost, when we design a strategy of adopting AI, I think that it's important let's take, for example, a big French customer that we are working with. Their example is very impressive in my opinion. When they planned the 2 years strategy of how to adopt AI, they decided to create a multifunctional teams that includes data engineers, data analysts, project manager, product manager, and software developers under the same roof, within the same team. Why? Because they realized very early on that in order to move with a very complicated Gen AI adoption project, it requires more than just one function, probably more than 2 or 3. So their ability to work with us throughout these 2 years and move very, very fast and close loops was just one of the most impressive things that I see. It's not an easy thing to do, to create such an organizational change, but it's a great example of how a company built a strategy from top to bottom, and also involving their own employees in their change management, and there is a clear vision of how it's being translated with the KPIs of where they want to be in 2 years' time.
Yeah, and it's not easy to manage this team at all. Like as someone from the technical side, I've been given a lot of tasks, and sometimes like when we are not visible to what are the implications, or we are not shown that, okay, whenever you will do this task and you will complete those PRs, we'll get all this value and we'll get more with clients. It's really hard to work. You kind of feel like that you don't know what you're impacting. You're just doing more and more iterations, and like you don't really get the feeling. So
yeah, it's correct. And I think that this is probably one of the first things that creates unlocking some fears, and then we are hearing sentences like, AI is here to replace us. I don't think that it's even the question. I can share my own opinion, which I don't think it's true, but I don't think it's the question. The question is, how are we bringing our employees to a place where they understand what are we planning to do and how it will change their day to day? This is the million-dollar question.
Yeah, but there are, right, we do, like, at least I read a lot on Twitter. There's a lot of conspiracy there, there's a lot of trolling in there, a lot of people who are afraid that AI will replace them, so they don't really want to cooperate with our company wants us to implement ChatGPT, how do I stall them or something? What do you say to management? You mentioned the word change management. Like, yeah. What would you say is the correct way to do that?
Yeah, so I think that the correct way is to, first of all, start by mapping the workflows and to go really hands-on to the bits and bytes of how the day-to-day of the key workflows actually looks like. From the data structure to how many steps each task requires us to do, and what are the most painful points that if we will solve them, for example, manual heavily or whatnot, will actually release some actual benefit. I read multiple articles about the fact that around 50% of the employees feel that they are not handling or not focusing on generate actual value in their day-to-day. They are buried with manual tasks. They are buried with multiple tools. So, and this is the paradox. We are adopting AI tools. We are doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I'm really, I got a lot of sense in, at least in the beginning when there were only like 2 or 3 language models and we built a lot of things which we thought were impressive. And then we started talking with the people who will actually use it. And they were like, no, that doesn't how, it's not how it works, right? It will not be actually useful to me. So I'm guessing you're saying to involve those people much earlier in the process as part of the method.
Yeah, to involve them much earlier in the process and to understand their pains. I think that Gen AI has a lot of potential, but it's all about the right way of using it. I think that if we want to create like a clear bottom line, and I'm not here to diss the proportion of the technology, but AI is a tool. That's it. I think that the values lies in the way we are going to utilize this tool, and in order to utilize the tool, we need to know how to do it. And once we know how to utilize it, I think that the potential is enormous. The potential is how are we going to allocate ourselves superpowers to focus on what really matters in our day-to-day and just skip whatever we can skip when it comes to manual tasks and so on and so forth to fulfill our potential. I think that this is a win-win when we are thinking about the workplace environment, because try to imagine, and it seems like almost an utopia, to have an environment where most of the employees are feeling that they are fulfilling their potential and concentrating what really matters and generating value. And I think that it's a win-win because for companies, it means higher attrition rate. It means far more motivated employees and far more productiveness.
So let's say, okay, if I want to skim through everything you said, like the main points, I now I want to implement Gen AI solutions in my own company. I need to understand, first of all, to be really productive about that. I need to understand the expectation, not to suffer from the ChatGPT syndrome, and also not to use FOMO as a strategy, but actually think about the strategy, involve all the people who are actually going to use this tool, and build everything in a multidisciplinary way, because let's face it, deploying to production is not one person, right?
Exactly. And bottom line, we want to move from a very cool and nerdy underground movement to do exactly the same, but within the umbrella of the organizations. I think this is the dream.
So to be a mainstream nerdy movement.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much, Asaff. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all got insights. We're here at booth 19 if you want to come and do more meaningful discussions with us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Big round of applause for Yuval.